Hello. Welcome to Directly to You. It's episode 204 Directly to You. It's the Redirect Podcast. I'm AJ. I'm of Redirect. I'm joined by Parker, also of Redirect. We do this podcast every week. It's Saturday for you guys at 10 a.m. Eastern Time. I'm at freaking Too Many Games right now. I might go Sunday. Who knows? But, if you're close and you hear this podcast, run. Go to Too Many Games. Hurry up. You might be able to find me.
It's in Philadelphia, is that right?
Yes.
Did you just say that?
It's right outside Philadelphia. I don't know if I said that. Nice. Did I say that? Anyway, you can find me there. Anyway, you could support this. Did I say I'm joined by Parker? I'm joined by Parker. He's here.
You did, because I said hello.
Oh,
like that.
Okay, yeah, he's here. He won't be at Too Many Games. Fun. He's too far. He can't.
True.
Run. He can't. Run. But yeah,
I will be in that neck of the woods in a little over a month. So
you should have.
But that's a whole month away.
You should have came this month. You messed it all up.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, we do the show. You can support us and the show by going to youtube.com/watch redirect or twitch.tv/watch redirect and giving $4.99 of your own money. Or even better, if you have an Amazon Prime account, you can link it to your Twitch account and you can give us $4.99 via Jeffy B. Take it out of his wallet. He doesn't even need it. He has way too many monies, dude. Granted, I mean, the way billionaires work, you're probably taking out of his stocks or some stupid crap like that. Yeah. Who knows, man? Anyway, in exchange for that, you get loyalty badges, you get free Switch keys from time to time, you get emotes, you get access to the supporters-only Discord, where we record this show live every week, sometimes 4 p.m. Eastern Time, sometimes later than that. Depends on the week, man. But you get to be part of the peanut gallery and contribute to the conversation. And if we're having Q&A or we missed something, you can bring it up and it becomes part of the show. Also, you can support all the stuff that we do at Patreon, and you'll get the game night stuff and all that crap. Which, speaking of that, we gotta figure that out. We gotta figure out when we're doing that. I guess I mean it would have to be next week sometime.
Early next week. Yep.
So yeah, you can come through for that. And if you already are supporting us through one of the other two things, like you get $4 or you give us Jeffy B's money or whatever, you could just add the difference between the $8 game night tier to be part of the game night tier. I think that's all the housekeeping stuff, so we can talk about the Mario movie, man. Mario movie stuff is happening. Apparently.
Yeah, apparently. According to one of the articles, the movie is 75% done. To be honest, I don't know what that means in terms of
what does that even mean?
Because I assume they know the right metrics to where that's just an accurate statement, but it also feels like, I don't know, in terms of editing things or whatever, that I could have a big old chunk of something done, but then I need to do takes even longer than some of the other bits. I don't know, that kind of a thing. So I'm sure they're correct about that, but still, it's just a funny thing for them to even mention a percentage. Yeah, because it feels easier to just be yep, still coming out when it's coming out, and it's going well.
The thing about it is that could mean multiple things. It could mean they're 70% of the way through with the process that they have to do, but that isn't that's not necessarily indicative of how long that those things take. If the first 50% is faster than the last 50%, are you 50% done? It's
what I mean? If you're moving 100 files from your computer from one place to another, and the last file to move is 20 times the size of the other ones, that's numbers wise or amount wise, there's a whole Tom Scott, I think, has a YouTube video talking about that kind of thing, why computers can never actually estimate the amount of percentage left on things, right? And I thought it was interesting.
He makes good videos.
He does. He's a smart little gentleman. Who's to say? Carrying on. They also talked about, Chris Pratt said, the quote is that his Mario voice in Super Mario movie is unlike anything you've heard in the Mario world before. The full quote, which we'll read now, and then talk about this, and then also just since we don't know anything still, and we're probably poised to find out something at some point in the reasonable future, next couple months, just kind of throw out our last thoughts before we know anything about maybe what it could be like, and then kind of go from there, I guess. I don't know. But here's his actual quote. He said, I worked really closely with the directors and trying out a few things and landed on something that I'm really proud of and can't wait for people to see and hear. It's an animated movie. It's an animated voiceover narrative. It's not a live action movie. I'm not going to be wearing a plumber suit running all over. I'm providing a voice for an animated character, and it is updated and unlike anything you've heard in the Mario world before.
This is a stupid quote that you shouldn't make when you're making a video game adaptation.
100%.
Because like that's not what anybody wants.
Yeah.
You know, like it's a Mario movie. You know, like if it was like if he was playing a character that wasn't Mario, and it's this is a brand new type of character, it's nothing you've ever seen before. I think that might even be a plus. Where it's like, okay, well, you're not trying to remake this game, and like people can't be like, well, that's not how I saw that character, and blah blah blah. You know, it's like, okay, cool. Well, we have our own villain. Like that makes sense. But to take the main character that people have all these like memories and like thought association and all this crap going on, to be like, nah, we're throwing all that away. It's like, why is it a Mario movie then?
Yeah. I think it's funny too, because like Chris Pratt isn't known for voices per se, you know, like he did Lego Batman, and so that's also not Lego Batman, the Lego movie. Yeah. And while that is an animated movie that he did,
he just was him. Yeah, he
was just him, but like a little bit peppier, you know. And like I don't know what else he's done. Maybe some other things, but even in those, he's just him. Yeah, exactly. Like Alex just said, he isn't known for any range. 100%. Like love him in Parks and Rec, and then he's done things since then, et cetera, et cetera. But I feel like he's just gonna sound like him. Talking about him doing voices isn't like inspiring me with particular confidence. I think it's gonna sound like Chris Pratt, but a little different, like a little bit gruffer or more Brooklyn maybe, or less Brooklyn. I don't know, but like Chris Pratt with a twist, as opposed to like if you got just a voiceover person, you know, like Rob Paulson, Ash Paulson's dad from Gamesplain, Rob Paulson, who does like Animaniacs voices and like the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and just like has a huge range of things. I don't know, like that could do a thing, but yeah, this will be interesting. Just to close up that part of it, what are you expecting his voice is going to sound like?
I think he's just going to sound like Chris Pratt, and I think that the only thing that is going to happen, like there's the starting point being this is unlike anything you've ever seen. I think the best case scenario is that it will be forgettable and whatever, you know, it's like it's inoffensive, forgettable. Yeah. Nobody's even like, when we talk about this movie 5 years from now, best case scenario, nobody's even going to remember that he like was hyping this voice up like this. But the more likely worst case scenario is that it's terrible and everybody hates it, you know? So like I just think that it's a bad idea, because like even if it is somehow good, or like we're getting debated and he actually just sounds like Mario, you know, like even if that's the case, like then it would just be fine, you know, like then it's just like, okay, you did what should have been the bare minimum, the expectation. So what is the point of hyping this like that? So like,
yeah. Honestly, I think the fact that it's probably going to be just pretty standard Chris Pratt, or as Trev said, how dare you, Parker? It's going to sound like Star-Lord. Yeah, I mean, yeah, exactly.
True. Hate him.
It's like, so I don't know. Thinking back to Parks and Rec, he was a great part of an ensemble cast there, but like was specifically the comic relief in like off like front and center front man sort of thing. Like he's kind of bland as the front man, except for as Star-Lord, which is still like in a ensemble, so he's able to kind of do that more. So I feel like he'll probably just kind of fade into the background of the character once it gets going, but that's just a hope, as opposed to like Ryan Reynolds as Detective Pikachu. Like I thought he did just a great job, but also Detective Pikachu like has personality and has character, and I don't really want Mario to have personality and character, because like he just doesn't, like, you know, just in terms of being authentic to it, like that's not that, it wouldn't be
right.
But
like the thing about it is like, I think the best, like as far as like what we know, the best part of this movie is probably going to be Charlie Day. that it's probably going to be the best part of this movie.
Yeah.
And I don't hear him talking about it at all. You know, like I don't hear him being like, "Oh, I'm the best Luigi," you know, like all this crap.
Honestly, everybody else, I'm kind of excited about. Like, I'm excited about Chris Pratt as Mario only to just find out just to have all the questions answered and all that. But yeah, like you said, Charlie Day's Luigi, Jack Black as Bowser's going to be interesting.
Yeah.
Keegan Michael Key as Toad and Fred Armisen, like all those people, I'm here for it. Those are going to be great, but hilarious that they're doing them, but still.
True.
Yeah. So I don't know, broader than just the voice part, what's kind of our expectations at this point, like last guesses before we see anything of, is this like fish out of water kind of a story, or is it like entirely in the Mushroom Kingdom, or, you know, like,
I mean, if it's animated,
what are we expecting?
If it's animated, I would expect it to be at least like mostly the Mushroom Kingdom adjacent, you know? Like if it was live action, I would expect it to be like fish out of water sort of situation.
Yeah.
But it's...
What if we just don't know yet? They're like,
I mean,
psych, it's actually like half. Yeah, you're right.
That would be very stupid.
It would be really bad.
Because, I mean, all of them, the messaging from Nintendo
100%.
and Illumination, stuff like that, they're all saying that it's an animated movie.
Yeah. And Illumination's never done a live action thing at all anyway. So, like, I wouldn't expect that at all. It'd be a hilarious twist, but I'm thankful that that's not going to be the case.
Right.
But yes, yeah, like you said, mostly Mushroom Kingdom.
But yeah, my expectations for this movie is, I think it's going to be like the Sonic movie, the first one specifically, where it's like aggressively average, and that's...
I was going to say aggressively mid.
Yeah, and that's
exactly what I was thinking.
And that's like Pog for video game movie. So everybody's going to like act like this is the best thing to ever happen. But it'll be fine, you know? Like it'll be a better kids movie than it will be a video game movie, I think. But Miyamoto being as involved as it sounds like he is does make me feel like it could maybe be more Detective Pikachu than Sonic the Hedgehog. And that would be a win too, I think. So like ideally it's more Detective Pikachu, and like I would say more Detective Pikachu than even like, because you know people like the second Sonic movie. I think the second Sonic movie is fine. I think the second Sonic movie is closer to what Detective Pikachu does so well. But it still does a lot of what the first Sonic movie did wrong, and that's being like, we're not going to make a Sonic movie. We're going to make our version of the Sonic universe. And that's like, what's the point of it? Like, if you're going to make your version of a Sonic movie, do what Freedom Planet did and say, we're going to make a video game that plays like Sonic, but it is not Sonic. You know, like make a movie that like, you know, is inspired by Sonic, but it's not Sonic. Because at that point, it's not like you're not making Sonic.
Right.
Or in this case, Mario or whatever video game movie. Like it should feel like Detective Pikachu did, in the sense that it's like, man, like this world is Pokemon. Like, I think that is like the what we can hope for in a video game movie. It's like you got to give people a different thing. Like you can't try to emulate the game, because it's like you're moving backwards. When you're like making a film, in the sense of like the way that people interact with this movie, right? Where it's like in a video game, even though the stories are usually like in the grand scheme of things mid, it feels grander and it feels more robust, because you're able to interact with it, and you're able to make your own story, more or less. But with with like video game adaptations and movies and stuff, they're making the decisions for you. So it's like they have to make a whole different thing, because then they're not like destroying your idea of what the world is. They're presenting you with something that you didn't even get that opportunity to form like opinions on how this character acts in this situation and blah, blah, blah.
Honestly, the one thing, and you saying that too, in terms of story specifically, the one thing that this has going for it that a lot of other movie adaptations don't, is the fact that Mario specifically has so little story. Some games that you can build headcanon and story stuff more than others. Like most 2D Marios, there's not much to go off of. You know, there's some like level stories, I guess, a little bit, and otherwise there's a couple cutscenes that could maybe tell some story and stuff. But it's so straightforward that it's like just say they have the opportunity, whether they're going to do anything with it or not, to be able to tell a more complete story than's ever been told in Mario. Like, honestly, even just the like final cutscene of Mario Odyssey, like that was nothing. Like that was such a short little, you know, a bit of a thing, with like Peach and all that stuff. But that people were like, whoa, like that's some, you know, character progression a little bit. And like that was something. And for that much to be celebrated is just like that indicative of how
little stories actually.
Yeah, exactly.
Games. Yeah.
So, I mean, then again, it's still Miyamoto at the helm of this, and story hasn't been his focus in the past. So I don't know when movies are taken into consideration how that'll translate. But he did do the Pikmin shorts, and those definitely had narrative to them for sure. So maybe he thinks differently about movies and narrative than he does about games and narrative. And if so, cool.
I haven't heard anybody at Nintendo like expressly like say this, but I feel like Nintendo values lore a lot more than they do story. And I think that a lot of that is because lore is a lot more interactive than a direct, like, I'm telling you a story sort of narrative. Like, they want the story and the world to be as out of the way as humanly possible. They just want to give you the means to be like, make your own story with this, you know?
And you can keep your story moving alongside lore and alongside gameplay in a way that like actual like pause the game, here's a cutscene narrative kind of thing isn't like, it literally stops the game. You know, like I enjoyed playing both the Xenoblade games that I played, but there were times that it was just 30 minutes of cutscene in a row. And that's, you know, less fun for sure. It's not as entertaining as actually playing a game. But like you said, yeah, just having other stuff where it's like, you could explore into an area and then try to like figure out what's this thing in the background. You know, there's these ruins or whatever. What's the story behind those? And come up with something cool for yourself.
Exactly.
So we'll see. Yeah. I do hope, like you said, I hope this takes place mostly in the Mushroom Kingdom, but does some interesting things with that. In my mind, the Mushroom Kingdom is largely kind of bland. Like, but I say that, but that's really just because I'm thinking of like the
Peach's Castle and like the
Peach's Kingdom part of the Mushroom Kingdom, or like the 2D Mario Mushroom Kingdom where it's showing them like in this idyllic, fluffy kind of place, or like Mario Run, that kind of thing. Yeah. But I mean, theoretically, everything else is also in that planet. And my light just flickered. That was weird. But you know, if you go to even like the Ruined Kingdom or something in Mario Odyssey, like that's technically within the same planet as the Mushroom Kingdom and stuff. So we'll see. But then again, so's New Donk City, and who's to say what they could do with that? Like that could turn out weird. I don't know. We'll see what happens.
We'll see. But before that, there's other news and whatnot. So
Indeed,
we're going to talk about that. First of all, the freaking Xenoblade. But before we get to the Xenoblade Direct thing, I just want to talk about Nintendo Directs in general and the continued annoying back and forth that everybody feels like they have to say something that they can say that they were right about. Like immediately after the, like even Kate and Krista, right? Like they're guilty of this because they made a video being like, we're definitely getting a Nintendo, or their podcast or whatever. We're getting a Nintendo Direct and it's happening, you know, like they did the whole YouTube community post of like, our Nintendo Direct predictions are coming out and all that other stuff. But the second that the Xenoblade Chronicles Direct gets announced, they're like, why, we're definitely not having a Nintendo Direct. It's like, yo.
I didn't watch it at all. Is it literally just because of the Xenoblade one? I don't know if you watched it.
I mean, I
was that there.
To be fair, I will have to watch it through to know that, but just like the title in and of
Seems
itself,
like it, for
it's
sure.
crazy to be like,
exactly.
if the kicker is like, actually we might, but like to title the video why we're definitely not getting a Nintendo Direct, it's crazy. Like, it's just
fully
like,
agreed. Yeah, as soon as I saw it, I was like, oh cool, a Xenoblade Direct. And then everybody's conversation about it was just like, all right, I mean, who's to say? Anything could happen still, technically,
yeah, literally any of those things can happen. Because like from the door, my thing always every time there's a Nintendo Direct, it'll happen when it happens. I think that we'll probably get it around like this quarter, but like I think the second that people start putting like a flag in the sand and say like, this is the month and day and time, and this is when we'll get the announcement by this time, and if by this time we don't get the announcement, it's not going to happen. The second that people start doing that, Nintendo's thinking, all right, well, we're going to do everything but that,
Yeah. Honestly, this month has been a lot like the fact that at some point people were like, oh, it's actually the 29th instead of the 15th or whatever. Like that week I probably would have been watching Twitter more often just because like, it seems like it's probably going to happen this week from what people are saying. So like I would have been watching it. And then before that week even came up, like, so last week, people were like, oh no, it's the end of the month. I was like, cool, don't have to worry about it now. If there is one, legit, cool. And if not, that's fine too, because my brain's not like prepped for it or anything. And honestly, having the Xenoblade one now has made it to where it's like, if there is one next week, also cool, but I'm not expecting it at all. So truly don't care. And it's just, like we'll find out about it, games eventually, but I mean, same kind of thing. It's like, we don't want to find out about games at a time when we shouldn't be finding out about games, basically. Like I trust that they're going to show us stuff whenever they show us stuff, because like they know how valuable Nintendo Directs are, so they're going to do them as soon as they're realistically able to. The reason we don't get them isn't because they're withholding stuff on purpose. It's because it's like, nah, we actually probably need a little bit more time for this, and so that's fine.
It's like,
I only want one when they can give us one.
This is the best part of it not being part of E3 to me, is that they can do it whenever it is good for them to do it. That is a W. Like I don't care about the specific day and time that I am going to be advertised to. I don't care. Like I'm down to see announcements. That's cool. But like I'm not counting down the days until they give me 30 minutes of ads. I'm not. And also like now, like I thought it was cool to watch the Xenoblade Direct. I also knew it was a Xenoblade Direct going in, so that was fun. So if they had 7 minutes of Xenoblade stuff in the middle of a Direct, that would have been 7 minutes of stuff in the middle of a Direct, when it's like, I'd rather see variety of things, because I know that I'm going to want to know whatever. We talked about that last week. But like, this got to have its own dedicated thing. So I'm pretty happy about that, because like it's a win-win scenario at that point. Like, last week that we were talking about it, and other people who also specifically like RPGs are like, I don't want the whole time to be taken up by the same one game, Yeah. And like Nintendo Life, they straight up said they're not covering this Direct that just happened. Because it's like, if you're going to play a game that the whole thing is about the story and like exploration and discovery and all that stuff, why watch a 30-minute presentation that is taking away that discovery and exploration from you? You can't play the game right now. You can't. Like them being like, here are the controls and here's the systems, that does not then allow you to play the game in your head. So like, what is the point?
Man. But speaking of that, they did have a Direct, and I watched, I think I watched all of it. I started watching it like 7 minutes into it. Oh no, I missed a couple minutes. I started watching like 7 minutes into it, and then finished it through the end, then went back to the beginning and watched the first couple minutes, and then the stream like went down so that it could like post the video, and then I just did go back and watch those. So there's a couple minutes somewhere in there that I didn't see. But like, Game looks good, honestly. It like seems like, from what I've seen, a really good blend of Xenoblade Chronicles 1 and 2, which is nice, because there's definitely things that like people preferred about 1 and preferred about 2. For the most part, it seems like those things are both here. I'm sure there's people that feel the opposite ways of the general consensus on, some of those things. But for the most part, it seems like we're doing all right on that front.
It definitely seems that they chilled on the booba.
It definitely seems like it. There's one. There's the characters have they can do like merging kinds of things, like or these Ouroboros things that they call. And one of the main three, I think there might only be three of the main party, at least for the main part of the story in Xenoblade Chronicles 2. You're like, yeah, there's only this thing, and then halfway through the story, they're like, whoa, there's a second that thing, kind of, sort of. And then later it's like, and there's another, it's just like power creep,
right.
Super Saiyan 7 kind of a thing. But it's fun while you're doing it. All that to say, one of them is like, is a little bit more the booba. But for the most part, seems like we're doing good on that front. So that's great.
Nice.
Yeah, indeed. And like also, there's not the same... There's a like better replacement for the kind of blade sort of system of like of a rotating party. So in Xenoblade Chronicles 2, you like discovered blades and stuff, and you that whole thing, and it was kind of a loot box situation, just not that you could pay money for or anything. But that was like not particularly well balanced, because if you wanted to get all of the legendary blades or whatever, it took just forever and tons of grinding to do that. But so instead there's like a seventh slot of, you have 6 main people on your party, and there's a 7th slot that you can like recruit various people, I guess, throughout the story, and you can just sub somebody in for that 7th slot if you want, which is a nice way to like do that and like have some versatility. But it's not, it seems like all things that you can control how to get them, not like just random stuff. So it feels like a good middle ground of both of those things, of having some versatility, but also whatever. And then like, I don't know, classes, things like it seems like one of those things that you could play this game multiple times if you wanted to. I would not, because I don't play story games multiple times. And have like different character loadouts with classes be different and stuff like that, or like switch it out during the game. I don't know, maybe that's too hard to like respec or something like that, but seems neat. And I don't want to get into any spoilers, so I won't, but the main like story concept seems fun. Like the non-spoilery version of it is like, we know there's 2 warring factions, and they're like constantly, forever, always and forever at war, and there's like a particular reason why they have to continue to be, but like, is it real? Do they really need to be doing it? Who's to say? But it's a nice, fun little sci-fi kind of reason. So that's the non-spoilery version. Seems fun. Yeah, I don't know if I'm probably not going to pick it up at launch. Maybe I'll put it on like my Christmas list or something. So I'll be playing it a long time later, and it also depends on time.
Oh, what about your video? Aren't you making a video?
Oh, yeah. I was going to make a video on the Xenoblade Chronicles 2 music and stuff. So I need to do that now. Yeah.
I don't care about this game. So, I mean, like, even less so now. Like, if you're not getting it at launch, I'm not playing it.
Yeah. I'll see where time and things like time are at that point. Maybe, but...
I mean, no pressure. I don't really want to play it, but if it's there, I'll play it. Yeah. If it's not, I don't got to. That's the W.
Yep. So yeah, that's Xenoblade. Also, Fire Emblem 3 Hopes is out now, so that's neat. I'm not picking it up.
Another game that I'm not going to play.
So there you go. Yeah, I mean, it's another one where it's like, if I had it, I'd probably play it some, but I'm just having a hard time. We have a baby and stuff, so I'm having a hard time finding I'm going to do most things, and games that I'm not like 100% sold on aren't just going to naturally fall into that. So you know what?
That makes sense. That's fair
It is
enough.
what it is. But speaking of other games that are out on the Switch now, we got Pokémon Snap on NSO.
True.
And this is another one where I have some opinions. Games fun. I love that it did what it did for the Pokemon universe and stuff like that. Here's my opinion getting into it. So I played some of it last night, and during playing it, I was saying just last week that it's like, this is a nice one because you go from new Pokemon Snap, you can go to Pokemon Snap, and it, is a more one-to-one situation.
Yep.
It's not. And
Yep.
that's fine. It's about as one-to-one as Mario Odyssey to Mario 64, which granted, still, those are like that's the root of Mario Odyssey is Mario 64. Like it makes sense that it's there, but there are improvements for a reason. Like that's time.
Yeah.
Time will do that to you.
Exactly. You have to be like a specific type of gamer to want that sort of thing, right?
Yeah.
Where it's like,
for sure.
hey, you like this new thing? It might have been the first thing you ever played in the series, right? Here's another one, but worse, objectively. I'm like,
Yeah, exactly.
It's like,
it's hard because, like, I mean, and there's some things that I like to do for. Okay, so on one side there's nostalgia that'll get me to play something. And then the other side is like the educational sort of side of it where it's like, I just want to better understand such and such. So like I listen to a lot of metal, and our friend Rob over at Rules Review, he also listens to a bunch of metal, and his favorite band of all time is Metallica. And the only people that I knew that listened to Metallica in high school were just the worst. They were the worst is all I'll say. And so therefore I just didn't really listen to Metallica because I was like, you know what? People who listen to Metallica are the worst.
yeah, I feel that.
And then so I went back and because also like I listened to metal at the time too, but it was, like
Not Metallica.
not like the classics, the real metal. It was, like Under Oath and The Devil Wears Prada and like screamo, emo kind of stuff, which, got a bad rap in that like classic community. So all that said, I finally was like, hey, Rob, what Metallica album should I listen to? And he was like, oh, yeah, man, you should listen to this one. I think it was the Black Album. I don't know for sure. So I went and listened to that one. And, like, I appreciated it for the educational side of it and being like, okay, yeah, that makes sense. Like, I can see that. But as far as, like, enjoying it for, like, listening to its sake, no, not really. Yeah. And so same kind of with a lot of games where either I have nostalgia for it or there's like, honestly, to some degree, A Link to the Past was a little bit like more on the edge. It was fun. Like that was one that holds up a lot better than a lot of other ones, but there were definitely some, quality of life things that have just gotten a lot better and all that. So like it was the educational part that pushed me to not just like drop it a couple of times here and there. So
Yeah. Because like at the end of the day, that game and those games in that particular series have a unifying factor that all of them, including at certain points Breath of the Wild, are just obtuse for no reason.
Yeah. I just got to, in Ocarina of Time, I haven't played it in a couple days, but I played it a little bit more after last week. I got to Kakariko Village, and that's like particularly obtuse in there, what you're supposed to do. And there's other points in the game that'll do the same thing, and I remember this happening, but I definitely remember, especially Kakariko Village, being like, yeah, so what are you supposed to do here?
Yeah.
Like at some point, Zelda gives you a letter and you're supposed to, you're going to need to give this to somebody. But by the time you get to the town, you've explored some, you've like found some things that you need to find. And then there's a guy blocking your way. You already forgot that you even have that letter. And you've got other things you could try to do, like play Zelda's lullaby for him and stuff. So like, I was like, what do you have to do? So just literally looked up like, how do you get to Death Mountain again? And it was like, yeah, show him a letter. I was like,
It's so
yeah,
dumb.
sure, okay.
It's so stupid. But yeah, no, I'm always beating that drum that it's like I think nostalgia is stupid. I think it's very dumb. Like it's fine, I guess, but like to hold up something as being better than it is, removed from having nostalgia for it. If like people know that their options like this, like you had to be there. then you know it's not good. Like, you're just letting your dumb kid brain dictate the things that you think are currently good as an adult in modern gaming. Like,
and honestly, I mean, when the nostalgia chemical is functioning correctly, and when it's like, you know, working, I'm all for that. Like, I'm like, yeah, sure. It's great to go
because
back
like
and play
at the end of the day,
something
like to you,
comfort
your
food,
experience
you know?
is like you're having fun because you know
Yeah,
the
exactly.
nostalgia is tricking you into thinking that this is just as good as the new games. Man, it's that.
Yep.
Like, or like not even necessarily like a trick, but you're just seeing all this stuff that they retained and still use, and be like, see, it's just like that because that's in there. You know, like you get the Master Sword in this. Like,
But yeah. So like on the Pokemon Snap thing, I can't remember if I actually said this, or I think I might have just said this when we were talking about it before we actually recorded. But like there still are things where it's like, man, I wish they'd brought back literally just like these two things, specifically evolutions in level. Those were great. Like those were really fun to happen. And I wish that they kept happening. And also, it's so dumb, but like the Pokemon landmarks were just fun because it was like, it was just dumb fun because it's just a fun thing. But besides that, I feel like, these games got in a similar way to like Super Mario Maker 2 versus Super Mario Maker 1, that like Super Mario Maker 2 did improve so many things, but like because it wasn't like the new the foundation of it wasn't new and fresh like it was before, then you start comparing things, it's like not quite apples to apples, you know. That one's not a great example, if I'm being honest, because
I think the thing that's worse about Mario Maker 2 than the original is that Mario Maker 2 feels more algorithmic.
Yes,
it feels more like, okay, what is the core of this? Put it in a robot, have them spit out the product, versus like the weird crap of Mario Maker where it was like, oh, you get this item by shaking that thing, and then like that's how you get that mushroom. The freaking like big weird Mario Man and like the amiibo mushrooms and like that sort of stuff, like all that like heart got completely removed from the second game, and they're like, here are more items, and you know, like you can make more levels, and it's a more vibrant ecosystem because it's not on a failing platform. Like that's all the pluses, which are all great pluses, but to take away the like the thing that made it truly unique, that like made it a game that only Nintendo would make, because any random fan can make Mario Maker 2. Like any of them, because that's what they do. Like fans, when they try to make like the spiritual successor to blah blah blah, it's very robotic. It's very like, this is my favorite parts of this game, and here's me making my favorite parts specifically of this game better in a very linear fashion. But when Nintendo approaches making a new game, it's like a good one anyway. It's usually not that, you know.
Yep, and I think Pokemon Snap did a really good job of. Especially, I mean, just quality of life things. There's the whole, like the way the pictures are judged is really good, and having like star rankings and stuff is something that I take for granted now, because going back to the old one, and it, you know, you could have two different pictures that are completely different from each other, and it's like, oh, that one was really cool. And then you get a better picture and it just like cancels out your old one just because it has a better score, but it could be a lot more like, by the numbers, just like, yes, that Pokemon is large and just standing right there. But it's fun to have them doing different things and all that kind of stuff. So, yeah, all that said, new Pokemon Snap. And I mean, I really enjoyed new Pokemon Snap when it came out. I know you did too. So, just, maybe I'll play more old Pokemon Snap. But it's fun that it's there.
Calling it old Pokemon Snap is funny.
That's the way it goes. But otherwise, besides Pokemon Snap, we're playing some games.
True.
I believe.
I'm playing
what are you playing?
Fair amount of games. You know what? I'm playing freaking Fortnite, dude.
Fortnite? I saw you playing Stardew Valley.
Which is crazy. Yeah, I'll talk about that too. But Fortnite, I got to talk about that because that's a very not me game. But you know, my friends like Wes and Lee and them, like they all play Fortnite. They've been trying to get me on Fortnite forever, and then they added freaking laser swords to Fortnite, and I was like, okay, fine, I'll play Fortnite. They have the laser swords in this video game. So now, like Darth Vader specifically is in.
You have to still find those, right?
You have to find them. But
okay, so you probably still have
not,
guns.
Yeah,
more often
yeah,
than not.
Yeah, okay. No, absolutely not. Because right now, at least, there's a very specific place where you get the laser sword. You have to go fight Darth Vader, and then you can kill him and get the laser sword. And you just follow him, and that's what, like, literally every game that I'm playing with them, I'm like, y'all, there's nowhere are we dropping. We're going to Darth Vader. Like, I don't care what y'all want. We're going to Darth Vader. And then we go to Darth Vader, and then we kill him, and then I get the laser sword, and it's Pog.
Nice. Do you play as? Is it like teams of 3?
It's any number from 1 to 4. Usually we're playing between 3 and 4 when I'm.
And then
playing.
you're matched up with other people with
that are
number.
in that same amount of team configuration.
Team size, whatever. Okay. Yeah. Is that a new thing since Apex Legends came out? Like, was it just single player?
No.
And then Apex Legend? Okay.
No. Fortnite became Fortnite because of what is that game even called? PUBG. Player Unknown Battleground or something.
And that one also had teams?
Yes. Me and Bob played that game before.
Oh.
And his ponytail was floating over the truck. But then once that game came out and popped off, Epic Games was like, we can steal this. And then they did that, and here we are.
Sure did. I've seen the like season 3 Vibin update for Fortnite. Like, what is that? What does that mean?
It's just themed things for your Fortnite man, or woman.
And you don't build things right now? At some point,
you can, but I'm not playing that, and we're not playing that. We're on 0 builds, baby. That's
so that's like a mode that you can choose or not choose.
Yeah. If there was builds, I'm not playing this game. Absolutely not.
Yep.
Nope.
Yeah.
No shot I'm playing it with builds. But without builds,
that's too much to manage, honestly.
It's fine. Exactly. Yeah, no, I'm not with that. Especially
because
it's a shooter, and I don't care about shooters at all. I don't like, and it's like partially like a very specific thing to me because my vision is bad. So it's just frustrating for me that I will die a lot of the times because the person saw me before I saw them. And that's annoying, especially as somebody that is competitive and used to being able to, like, if I see you and I know where you're at, like, people are like, oh, would you do good in Smash? It's like, yeah, because I always know where my opponent is at. Like, if I can see you, you're getting beat up. I don't know what to tell you. Yeah. But, like, if I can't see you, then, like, rip.
It's not like, I mean, game skills aren't just, like, universally transferable either. You know, like, there's definitely some things where...
The thing is, to an extent, they are. Because it's once I figured out that, like the thing is, like, as long as I'm, like, tapped in and I'm paying attention, movement is just something that I'm usually good at. So that's when I'm doing good, it's because I'm using movement to be like, okay, well, let me not get hit. Like, this guy knows where I'm at and he's shooting me, but I can still make it so he can't hit me until I see him. And then I'll fight from there. So that much I will say is transferable for sure. It's like just having game sense of knowing, like, oh, well, this is how video games universally work with hitboxes and so on and so forth. That much.
And I think also, like, there's I mean, I'll talk about it in a second, but I'm playing some Fall Guys. Ashley and I have been playing it a little bit, and it is interesting how just generally skills at platformers or whatever do transfer fairly well, but especially it's like just the element of, like, patience and knowing, like, depth perception and, like, specific things like that, which are, like, kind of, you know, you just build those
patience
over time.
Is definitely, like, a huge thing that I think transfers
in just, like, all games,
sure.
honestly, and especially, like, in, like, Souls likes or whatever, like, that's something where I feel like, I could be wrong about this, but I kind of feel like if you get good at a Souls like, that kind of probably gives you some of the most transferable knowledge, because it's learning how to read things, learning patience, learning, like, not to get greedy, and that, like, a lot of games just do those things, you know. So I mean, probably similarly with Smash,
I think Souls, like, it's a fighting game. Like, that is what I think. Like, that's the thing that, like, that's the core of it. Like, if you grew up playing, like, Street Fighter or whatever, like, old fighting game at this point, you know, like, Smash is an old fighting game now. The game's freaking 20 plus years old. Like, if you grew up playing that, a lot of that stuff transfers over. You're like, patience and, like, spacing and timing and, like, all that stuff. definitely like can help you be good at that situation.
Yep.
Yeah.
So would you say you're enjoying Fortnite, or mostly just because you're playing it with Lee and
exactly?
and Wes and
Yes,
stuff?
because I am playing it with my friends. I would not play it by myself. That I still don't have the desire to be like, yo, I'm queuing up Fortnite. It's like if I see them like in the group chat, be like, yo, Forts, I'm like, yo, I'm down. Whatever. I'm not doing nothing. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not going to play Fortnite. But
Yep.
I'm playing that. So
There you go.
that's one of the games. I'm playing.
Nice.
Are you playing anything else?
So like I said, Fall Guys. That came to Switch,
Yep.
and so Ashley and I have played that a couple times. She'll play it on my profile sometimes too, and so it's just it's a fun little game. You know, I knew that I wanted to play it when it was on PlayStation stuff, but it was
you
on
don't have a
PlayStation, and
PlayStation. Yeah.
I don't have one of those.
Yeah,
So, yeah, and it's like it's super. It works. Like it's not laggy at all in terms of gameplay, which is good. Like it does what I prefer a port to do, which is it's not laggy at all in terms of gameplay. If I look at other characters, some of them are literally just like not T-posing specifically, but like stuck in kind of a running animation, just in that pose, just kind of moving and jumping. So it's like capturing what their costume is and just where they're moving to and stuff.
Yeah.
And honestly, that's fine. Because it works,
like, who cares? How's that impacting your gameplay? You
Exactly. Like it's funny to see, and like sometimes, especially at the end of a level where it's like people have qualified, I feel like assets kind of like move around a little bit for a second. But again, it's after the gameplay. But that's actually kind of funny, just like seeing somebody just yeet it off into nowhere, just right after the game's done. But yeah, it's a lot of fun. Because it always has been, and it's just nice because like it's such a low impact game, and I don't love multiplayer games more often than not, especially if they're more like one-on-one kind of a thing where I know that like that person I'm playing against is a person, and then there's like I don't know, I just don't love that, because then if they're being toxic, then that like bugs me and those kinds of things, I guess. Whereas in this, with 60 other people, and it whittles down into whatever, like I'm basically with this kind of game, you're just playing the game, and there happens to be other people also doing it, and they can interact with you, obviously. Some they can like hold you or something like that, but for the most part that doesn't happen, and so it's mostly just like getting good.
It's not happening yet. It will happen.
100%. Yeah, it's already, I mean, I've noticed it a little bit, but it's really funny because like right now we have a bit of knowledge about this game, having just played it a couple times at like Mitch's house or something, and also having watched other people play it a bunch, whereas a bunch of these people, it's like probably 10-year-old kids that are just loading it up because it's free, and they are I've gotten 2 crowns so far, which is not a lot, but it's a couple. And if this was really sweaty like it is on other platforms, that I mean it's crossplay, so maybe I am playing with other platforms. Honestly,
you're probably playing with other platforms, but it's
Still.
it's new crossplay for other platforms.
Exactly.
So it's a lot of people, and it's like you said, newly free to play. So there's a lot of people that are just picking it up, whether on Switch or otherwise, And I'm sure like the game probably, like if you're just in a regular lobby, like you're just by yourself or whatever, or with people that are also playing it on Switch, it probably prioritizes matching you with people that are on Switch.
I bet.
Anyway.
I wouldn't be surprised. Yeah. So it's a good time. It'll probably be one of those things that's just like an easy pick up and play here and there at some point over the next, whatever months and stuff. But Ashley and I especially will like pass back and forth between the two of us, and like it'll be one that she doesn't like, and so I'll play it, or one that she does like, and then she'll play it.
That's cheating.
We're crowdsourcing the win.
That's a fact. I did not install it. I don't know if I will. And again, unless it's like a stream thing, if people are like, "Yo, I don't play freaking," and then I'll play it. But like, I don't really.
Could we? How many people can do it for?
I think it's a custom
you can make your own
thing.
lobbies.
Yeah, you can make your own lobby.
We could definitely do that. For
we could do it.
If we
if
wanted
people
to.
want to do it, we could do it.
Interesting.
It's up to y'all. But yeah, I'm also playing freaking Stardew Valley, apparently.
What's up with that?
So, Youth was playing Stardew Valley, because she likes the cozy games. We were talking about that. And I was like, this was a while ago though that I specifically brought this up to her, and I was like, yo, there's a freaking Stardew Valley's a cozy game. We could play that. So then I read
She'd never played it before?
No, I don't even think she knew what it was. So downloaded that. It overwhelmed her immediately because it's a cozy game in the sense that like it doesn't force you to do anything, but there's a lot of stuff going on, so it's hard to know what even do.
So when I got into the weeds of that game, it was kind of a stressful game,
because
the way I was doing it,
you're trying to and you specifically, you're trying to min-max and all that. I don't think that
100%.
I don't think she's necessarily trying to do that.
That's good.
But
also,
it's just where even do I start?
Yeah. I would say what was helpful for me was I watched one video beforehand because I wanted to figure out mostly for myself, but I watched a video that was like 22 things I wish I knew when I started Valley or something like that. And that was really helpful to it mentioned go ahead and get a backpack as soon as you can to save up for a larger backpack. That's a good thing. And some other just little tidbits like that didn't spoil anything about kind of even the gameplay, but just that. But I do wish that somebody had told me don't try to do all of the things, have an animal farm and the all of your crops and mining and that stuff, because then I would just it was too much.
And then
I feel on a second playthrough it's more chill.
I feel like getting crops as a person that plays RPGs and all that crap, it's kind of I don't want to use these crops yet because I can do artisan goods and stuff. I could make this into wine. So then you're just sitting with the crops for forever. And it's just so
you got it.
This was months ago that she did that and then tapped out and was like, I'm not. But again, recently, I don't know, somebody talked to her about it again or something. And she was like, all right, I'm playing Stardew Valley again. I was like, okay, cool. And then she was trying to fish, and she was like, how do I fish? And I was like, I don't know. So I downloaded it to remind myself how to do it. Because I remember it was a thing. We talked about it on the podcast before, I'm pretty sure, of that being something that people thought was so hard. And I'm like, yo, it's not even that hard, man. Freaking crack that fishing. So I downloaded the game, and then I was I did that, and then I was like, damn, I got a lot of stuff in this game. And I was I got all these, I make wine and stuff. So then I started doing that, and I fell down that rabbit hole. So now I'm just playing the game until I just don't want to play it anymore. But it's it's an easy thing to burn time. If I'm yo, I gotta wait X amount of hours, or even Smash isn't even like that, where it's I'll play Smash and all that time that I'm playing Smash, I'm it doesn't feel like the time's moving any faster. But I could literally be playing in Stardew Valley, and I'm yeah, what the heck? How did 2 hours pass? Because it's even just basic, just trying to save the game takes 24 minutes or whatever, right?
That's true.
I gotta freaking go to sleep to save the game. So it's really easy to just burn time in that game. So yeah, I was playing that.
Yeah, that's when I think I have 80 hours in that, and it was just 2 in-game years, which, I mean, for anybody who hasn't played, that's 2 years. That's a long time. It's not a very long time. For 80 hours to do that, it was, I don't know, it's just crazy how fast the game passes time. It'll do it.
Just burns up time.
Yeah.
So yeah,
I'm trying to get Ashley into that, I think.
You should. And that's a co-op thing, so
it is.
And I think that would be it might even be an easier game to tackle in that way, where it's you know what you can do because you can just divvy everything up. Where it's all right, I'll take care of the fishing and freaking hunting or whatever, and you take care of the crops and the animal, that sort of stuff. But if it's just you, it's you gotta freaking juggle all that and figure out okay, what do I want to prioritize and what do I not? Right now, I was saying, I'm just all artisan goods, man. I'm I'm making the wines and the firm, going in there and putting in the freaking keg and what, not the keg.
I feel
the barrels in my basement.
I like the headcanon also that comes along with that a little bit better, where you're not this jack of all trades sort of thing, but you're an artisan, you
that's
make
a fact.
Wine,
that's
and
a
it's
fact.
just feels nice.
That's what I do.
Also,
and jams and pickled things and whatnot.
Indeed.
I also got goats. I need to like remember how to buy more animals because I need more animals. Like I can only get so much milk. I have too many
Marnie
cheese things.
maybe?
Marnie. Yeah, but like I don't know. I'll look it up. Or I'll look around. But also it's like the whole thing of like now I gotta talk to people and be their friends and stuff because I'm not friends with nobody. Like I just have a wife and then I have like 2 friends, but like everybody else has like no hearts and I'm like, yo, I gotta friggin' talk to more people, dude. Like because it's like you gotta figure out what they like and give them stuff and it's like, yo, like what the heck. So yeah, I gotta.
I mean, you can. You also don't have to. Like, you could be a hermit if you really want to. Yeah.
I don't want to do that.
No, it is fun. I feel like to get to know people, but it feels very hit or miss in some ways. Which I mean, that's what getting to know real people is like, I guess. And I still do like about that game that like the people are very specifically meticulously thought out as opposed to Animal Crossing where it's like so many characters that they're kind of shallow, like in terms of what all is unique about them. But in Stardew Valley, it's like, man, every single person has this whole world of stuff that has to do with them, which is, I don't know, nice for it to be there if you want it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a fact. Are you playing anything else?
Speaking of cozy games, I loaded back up Islanders, and what a good old time that game is. I feel like I'm the only person of my friends that likes it, but I like it a lot. I mean, similarly, like can just suck me in for so long because the gameplay loop is you're min-max this one island basically to get it as as many things on it as possible, and then you prestige, go to a new island. So like I don't want to put it down while I'm still working on this one island, which literally can take probably, I don't know, maybe an hour, 2 hours, maybe more sometimes depending on how big it is or whatever. And then you prestige, and then as soon as you do that, you're like, ooh, a new island. I could put this there or something, and then it just starts to get you sucked back in on that front. So, I've got a run going right now. And I checked the leaderboard, and I'm still, my like high score from the last time, which was at like 50th for a minute there, is like 383rd, which isn't bad, all things considered. But I also don't know how many people are playing this game. So that maybe is...
It might be terrible, but who knows?
Yeah. But I think the last time I checked, because I just to find out where I was at the time, I logged in on Ashley's, started an island, got 0 points or like 10 points or something on it, and then checked the leaderboard, and it was like 15,000 people or something like that. And that was a long time ago. So could be now that it's 16,000 people or 15,001 people, or at least that, something like that. So been playing that, and it's cozy, but also kind of stressful in that like it sucks up time that sometimes I should be doing something else or going to sleep. So
True.
we'll see if I end up doing more of that. I've just prestiged to a new island, which feels like an easy place to kind of set it for a little while and go from there. But otherwise, I think that's basically all that I'm playing.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, some of that wasn't even very much. Pokemon Snap was all of 30 minutes last night, but whatever.
I'm also
and with that,
freaking,
are you playing anything else?
Obviously playing Smash. I'm playing Smash with my friend Zay, who's also like part of that group. Like Lee and them. He plays Samus. I freaking hate fighting Samus, but it's good to have the experience of fighting Samus. Granted, I will say that he does not play Samus like most Samuses, because so I don't know how much it's actually helping because
is that good or bad?
Because it's like the reason why I don't like fighting Samus like wholesale, like for most people, against most people I should say, is because Samus, super campy, but he is not. Like he's like on the other end of that, where it's like, and I've told him this, where it's like, it's funny because it's like he'll lose a lot of the time, or like not like, I'm not saying he loses a lot, but I'm saying when he loses a lot of the time, it's because he got impatient and ran at me, and I punished him for that. Because that's the thing. It's like for the most part, like when I'm playing to win against people that are like good at the video game, I'm pretty defensive, where it's like I'm not going to hit you unless I know that it's going to work, and I'm going to wait for you to commit and hit me so that I can punish that. That happens a lot, where it's like he'll be in that situation more often than I will, where it's like I just gotta hit you, you know, and die for it. So yeah, I've been doing that.
And it's weird to tell somebody to be more I mean, I guess you're telling him to be more patient.
I'm not necessarily telling them to do anything. I'm fine with him playing the way he plays, because it's not like he wins. Like, he's good at the game. Yeah. It's just like I feel like me adapting to and winning, like when I do against him, it doesn't feel like I'm getting better at fighting against Samus. It feels like I'm getting better at fighting against Zay. Which is not a bad thing, you know, like, because like I said, he's good at the game. It's just like I don't think that fighting him will necessarily make it easier to fight other Samuses.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that makes sense.
But we'll see. It's always good to have more people to play the game with that are good at the game. Either way,
this is true.
Because like, even if it's not like going into a session being like, I'm going to get better at fighting this character, I can still be like, I'm going to get better at like trying to work on this combo or what to do after I get this kind of hit and like that sort of stuff.
Yeah. That makes sense. I mean, it's just another person for you to get to play N64 Smash with when that comes out, you know?
That's a fact.
When the real Smash comes out.
True.
Whatever this newfangled stuff is.
Also, Eric, if you're still here, see if you can type in the chat now. Oh, no, he's not here. Okay, wait, I got a message.
So
the whole time I was trying to fix that, because apparently he can't type in the chat.
Which is funny, because I thought he did like right at the beginning. I could be wrong.
We'll see. But yeah, nope, okay. We're done with that Q&A.
We are Q&A. I only posted on Discord because that's what we did today.
Because the world's terrible right now.
Yeah, so that's
not even just right now. Just just routinely terrible, and we see it a lot because of the.
I stand behind what I said earlier, which is that it feels like the whole like, man, how can I focus on work today? There's too much other stuff going on. Yeah, it happens just so often these days, and that's, you know. Yeah.
And I'll say, I don't think it's because necessarily, anyway, because bad things are happening that never happened before. I think that it's actually a good thing that we're inundated with this stuff, because this is stuff that was going to happen anyway, but we wouldn't know about it. Or the people that aren't affected by it wouldn't know about it, and that sucks. You know, it's like, that's why it's like hard for me to like. I'm sure I've talked about this a couple times, but it's hard for me to like reconcile with the fact that like to some degree we provide like a distraction. I don't want people to be distracted. You know, like I want people to like I don't have a problem with being like a highlight of a day that it has bad things that happen, right? But I don't want people to like forget about things that are happening, you know. Tangent aside, that's more of a Patreon podcast.
I was gonna say, yeah.
Maybe we'll talk about that on the Patreon podcast.
Honestly, yeah, maybe so. It's interesting stuff. Yeah. Because again, like, not just to finish up that bit. I never want my like not responding to or not talking about something on Twitter. Not that like we have to talk about everything on Twitter. Also, you know, like necessarily, but there are things that like I feel like it's important to talk about, and I don't want me not talking about something to make it seem like I don't have any thoughts about it. Typically it's that I have too many thoughts about it, and I'm not able to articulate them in a Twitter way. Just not able to articulate them in a Twitter way, you know, like, and it's like I said on Twitter today, just like, I think a lot of my thoughts are just nuanced in a way that are just going to get backlash, outside of the fact that I know that there are people that also, even if we have different opinions, trust me that I'm not just being, you know, something
mean spirited.
So will give me the benefit of the doubt in that case. But I feel like
I will say I was going to reply to your thread where it was like you said like you made both sides mad, and I'm like I don't think you did. Because it's like the problem isn't people being religious or anything like that. The problem is that it is usually wholesale like that, where it's like I'm
100%.
religious, so therefore I'm far right, and therefore I hate this and that, and it's like I don't think a lot of people that are like even pro-choice necessarily actively want to have an abortion. Like nobody's like, I can't wait to have an abortion,
But it's a straw man.
But they deserve to have that choice, whether it be the worst case scenario or they just don't want to have the baby or go through pregnancy or whatever. Like they should have that option. And it's okay to like feel like sad about that, like the loss of a potential life and all that other stuff. But it's the like controlling it and vilifying it and all that other stuff that is the bad side of that. And I don't think you do any of that. Like being like, I wish there was an abortion, but like it's like like you understand like stuff happens and people got to do what they got to do, and it's not up to us.
I think on both sides, it's so hard because I mean, here we go. This is the Patreon cast. I think it really is tricky because just the politics as they are.
Yeah.
It like, and both sides, and I literally mean both sides. It like it is always. It feels like having to wholesale win something, like you said, as opposed to like if either side theoretically, well, no, that's not true. If both sides were able to like come to the table being like, let's forget the past, let's like figure it out, like as reasonable people, which is just not possible in the current state of things, then like maybe we could figure some stuff out that's like figuring stuff out, and I'm not even giving any solutions to what that is, but I mean, if on both sides, honestly, it's kind of just like,
I feel like in this situation, there shouldn't be a both sides because I think, and again, this might be because I'm more on that side than the other, that there is a right answer to this. Like, again, like wanting, like feeling bad about abortions and not wanting them to happen shouldn't then mean that you put that on everybody else, Like, I think that it is the right thing to do to let people choose how they feel about that situation. Because we're like, and again, I think that like a lot of people immediately think about it in this way, in the worst case scenario sort of situation. I think that that's not necessarily the best thing either. But like thinking of the best case scenario, it's not good to have the baby and not be able to support the baby. You know what I mean? So like, and who's going to do that? Like, because your morality says like, oh man, and I'm saying you're generally, I'm not talking about you.
Right. Yeah.
Specifically. But like, because people feel like, I feel bad about X, Y, and Z. Are you going to support this baby? Or is the quality of life for that baby going to plummet just because you cared so much about the baby before the baby was born, and now the baby's here and nobody can support the baby, so the baby's life sucks? Like that's not good either.
Think especially the fact, like the obvious hypocrisy of the like, people making decisions. Parts of it is where, just yesterday or 2 days ago or whatever, guns are like, yeah, man, just have so many guns and that kind of thing, where like it's the people in power are not trying to do the good and righteous things that the people that think that they want those people in power to do them are trying to do. They're just trying to do things for power and like being, like it's not for the good of the people, and that's just really messed up. So I don't know. Again, I have more thoughts than even this. I just don't feel like
Patreon podcast.
Yeah. Oh man. No, I mean, I think,
and again, my instinct is to be like, oh, well, back to Nintendo. I don't no, don't like that. Like the distraction thing, I don't like that. That does not sit well with me. But we will talk about other stuff. So we're going to talk about the other stuff.
Yeah, man.
Q&A.
I think last thought, just in general, I think it's good to be able to have discussion, because I think that it's so easy to just not, and like that. I mean, again, like I think most of my community is middle to far left. Most things that's kind of where I sit for a lot of things. But I think even in that, I notice a certain tendency at times to hold beliefs. Everybody holds beliefs, but then like hold those as the correct belief without, like, before
considering all the things
hearing,
around it,
like, more conversation, and then coming back to it as reasonable, that kind of thing. I think, and that's all I ever want to do, is just like have that belief and then set it to the side for a second, have conversation, and be like, okay, is that probably still that thing though. And then
for what it's worth, that's me saying what I said about, I think that is coming out on the other side of it, and that is the right conclusion to make, is because like that argument about like pro-lifers and stuff like that, right, isn't even consistent, because they only care about the life up until the baby is born. Like there's no rallying behind making sure all these babies are cared for, like that. Where's that at? Where are the laws for that? They just want the control. Like that is the consistent thing, where it's like, I could see it if these people, all these like pro-life people, like the people that describe themselves as that specifically, I could see if, which I think is still wrong, because again, it's not all about that, like it's also just the core of a woman should be able to decide whether she wants to have a baby or not. Even beyond that, like if that is truly how people feel, which I think on some level is admirable, if that's how you feel, it's like you just don't want people to die or be like not given the like chance to live more accurately, that I feel like that's good. But the good in that stops when it's like, well, I only care about that. Like once the baby's there, I don't know what to tell you. Pull yourself up by your bootstraps, freaking, take care of the baby. This is a decision that you made. No, it's not a decision that they made. You made the decision for them by making legislation that says that they can't get rid of the baby. And
it's so easy to stop there too, where it's just like, you're not allowed to do something. Right. And then if you do, then, and then past that, it's just so easy to be out of your hands, because like, it was like, well, we told them not to do the thing they weren't supposed to do. So, there we go. That's it. But yeah, there's a whole life to be had after that like is, and especially again, the people that are the ones making these decisions are like, I don't know, since we're working on selling our house and buying a house that's further outside of town, but a little bit bigger, which is going to be nice so that we can have guests and like maybe adopt another child down the road, if just depending on how things worked out. But with that, I've been like, I don't know, a little bit more paying attention to the economy and things. And it's messed up how are the same people that not to just like straight up blame baby boomers, but like I watched a video where he intentionally at the end of the video was like, I don't want to just blame baby boomers, so I'm not going to, but like definitely also implied, it's a lot of their faults too. and like that's the same people that are, like at this point they're just, I don't know, everybody's selfish to a degree for sure, but like the more money and the more power you have, the more selfish you are, like 9 times out of 10. And so it just sucks that those are the people that are making any decisions at all. Cause like, you don't know, and
you're not even going to be here that long. Like you're on your way out.
Yeah. They also, they don't even know about Q&A, but
that's a fact. True that.
Yeah. So again, so many more thoughts, but we'll table them Patreon podcast if you want to hear us talk about this kind of stuff. It is what it is.
Here we
All
are.
right, here we go. Thanks for asking questions, folks. Rise Gang. The shift is palpable. All right, whatever. We're just doing it. Rise Gang, did either of you watch the Xenoblade Direct? And if so, what are your thoughts? I wanted to hear opinions of lesser Xenoblade fans, as I myself am extremely hyped from what I watched, but I'm a huge fan of the Xenoblade series.
I saw parts of it.
Nice.
I can't bring myself to care about systems in a game that I'm not currently playing. Like, and it's not even a thing of like I wasn't watching the Smash like direct and stuff like that being like, yes, parrying. What if I keep forward tilting my forward like all that stuff just made me okay, release the game. I can't play information. You know.
Yeah. I'm largely the same with a lot of things where like if there's a tutorial, like I know some people that'll like watch tutorial videos on things, learn everything about like Logic, for example. You know, I more recently have started using Logic, and switching over from Pro Tools has been, you know, more or less fine, but like there's things that I don't know. Some like I know people that would just go and watch all the videos on Logic, and then they get into it and it's like information overload. They don't remember half the stuff anyway, and so just like, you know, half of it's just sitting in your brain sort of in the background, not doing anything. Instead, I like to poke and prod around, and then when I need something, or actually probably way better example was just Mario Strikers, which we talked about last week. So all that said,
I forgot to talk about that. I was playing that, but now I am no longer playing that because people are cringe. Oh my God. People brought the lag switches out as soon as the video games give you incentive to compete.
That sucks. I hate that so much.
It's super
Is that
nasty.
even that beneficial in that game? I mean, obviously it must be.
Absolutely, it's beneficial in this game. It's very cringe. But yeah, no, it's nasty and makes me not want to play it. But yeah, no, Xenoblade. I get it why they did the direct, and I'm very happy for you, Rise. But me, I don't want to watch a 30-minute presentation that's telling me how to play a video game that I can't play right now. Well, you know, like even if I wanted to play it, like. If they dropped it if the game came out, right, and the day that the game came out, they dropped the direct, that would be a W. Because then it's like, yo, I got all the information about the game, and I could play it right now, and all that other stuff, right? But, like, weeks before the game releases is kind of crazy. It's like, the only people that are going to watch this 30-minute presentation are people that already know that they're interested in the game.
Right.
So, like, why give that? Why do that a month out? You know, like I don't know. I think that's kind of crazy.
I'll say my opinions of it are that like I said before, seems like best of both worlds, and like honestly, probably will end up being the best of the 3 Xenoblade games, and that's great.
That's cool.
And I feel like they learned some things from even like doing Torna and stuff like that. Like I can see some of that stuff translating a little bit. So that's good. But yeah, besides that, I guess we'll have to see. I'm interested for sure. Again, whether or not I'll pick it up at launch or whatever. I think my biggest hindrance these days is just, I don't know that I have time for more than, you know, Fall Guys, Islanders, and other like pick up and play kinds of things.
Yeah, I feel
that. It'll be a challenge for sure because I mean, I started Torna a couple weeks ago and just like haven't had an opportunity to play more than like 4 hours of it or so. So,
which is nothing in the RPG world.
True. Yeah.
This man
honestly, the only reason I haven't started Torna was because apparently it's like how long to beat Torna and the Golden Country. It says, okay, main story 17 and a half hours, completion is 38 hours. Because yeah, it's like, you know, it's a side thing. Yeah. So on the plus side, I could do it. Will I? Who's to say?
We'll find out next time on Dragon Ball Z.
Indeed. Mega Man, happy Saturday, guys. Thanks.
This is the only time that he's right. The only time that he's right, because this goes up on Saturday.
Exactly. I want to know if you guys played any sports when you were younger. What did you play? Were you any good? Why did you stop? Also, best halftime snack during games. Hashtag RE Foods.
I played soccer, funnily enough.
Nice.
For
Strikers.
like, no.
Kick people?
Yes. From like 4th to 6th grade. I stopped because like, I don't know, I just like, I didn't really care that much. It was fun, but like, I just did it because it was like fun, you know? And then there was other stuff that I found that I could do after school that were more fun. So I no longer did it, you know?
Also, past 6th grade, it starts getting kind of sweaty in the
yeah,
States.
exactly.
I feel
And it's like,
so.
I had no desire to be an athlete or anything like that. So it's like, I'm not going to freaking school
Yeah.
for like, you know, I don't care about that. So that's why I stopped, but it was fun and I was okay.
Maybe the best, though? Maybe.
Nah, not
you
the best,
should've
but I
been
was
in the
okay.
World Cup.
I was okay.
Okay.
I scored, you know, I scored, but I freaking, you know, I wasn't like top scorer or nothing like that.
Mark said, just would like to say I'm not a fan of the rise of the word sweaty.
True. I don't like, I think it's kind of mean spirited.
Interesting. Tell me
Because
more.
it's just another thing of like that stuff that I've talked about before about like people policing the amount of hours that somebody plays a video game.
Yeah.
It's like, shut up. Like, you're.
I think the first context that I heard it in was like when it was somebody playing Fall Guys and, you know, being good at it or something.
Yeah.
And then somebody was like, "Dude, you're not supposed to be good at Fall Guys."
Yeah,
And it's
out there
no,
to be
just,
good at the video.
I don't know. Do what you want to do.
Yeah. I think that it's just all bad. You know, it's bad from every angle that you look at it. You know, like if people are being sweaty in a game that like and in it, like people that specifically do stuff like smurfing and like that type of crap, that's nasty. But it's
Do
also
not know what that means.
Smurfing is like so. I mean, more or less, it's the type of stuff that, like, when I boot up Smash on your profile, like, and I get my friends in Elite Smash, it's like that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
But it's like doing that all the time. It's like, all right, I'm too high in the ranks where I'm not winning as much as I want to, so I'm gonna like make an account that puts me lower in the ranks, so I'm like demolishing people now.
Yeah, right.
Which is nasty. I specifically do the smurfing just to like get my friends unexpectedly in Elite Smash. That's why I do it. Like I can be on. The thing is like my GSP for Pokemon Trainer on my account and the burner account that I have is super high. Like I don't lose very often. So like I don't feel the need to make a burner account for that. But a lot of people do, where it's just, they just want to freaking destroy people. But yeah, like for people that are sweaty, that's the bad side of being sweaty. And for the people that are not and or are bad at the video game, it's a way to try to make themselves feel better about where they're at in the game, because it's like, oh, well, I'm just not as good because I don't dedicate my life to it. It's like, no, you're just not as good because you're not as good. You know, like I could play Smash once every year and still be better than the majority of people that have picked up a GameCube controller. But I choose to play Smash because I'm good at Smash and any other game that I'm good at, you know? And also because I like it. Like, I don't know. The thing is, like, I can't really say if I would play Smash as much as I play Smash if I wasn't good at Smash, because I'm good at Smash.
Right, yeah.
But that's not specifically why I choose to play it. You know, like, I don't turn on the game being like, I need an ego boost. I want to win. It's like, no, I'm bored. I want to play the game that is fun mechanically, you know?
And like, yeah, I agree. I think for me, the turnoff would only be in like just somebody being toxic.
Yeah,
you know,
exactly.
And that's never fun at all. But somebody can be way better than me, but have fun, be a good sport, and just like be just playing.
Right.
And that's fine. And they can be just barely better than me or worse than me and be toxic.
Yeah.
And I hate it.
Yeah.
Like I'm, you know,
That's most of the thing is like
frustrated.
most of the people for me, and maybe that's because of where I'm at in Smash, but most of the people that are toxic are usually the ones that are worse. Like they'll be getting like 3-stocked and teabagging the whole time. It's like, dude, like you hit me twice. Why are you teabagging?
Yeah, that's hilarious. Somebody earlier said like 10-year-olds are the most toxic when we were talking about Fall Guys, and they're like,
Trav said that. It's true.
Trev.
They're
yes.
also usually the most cracked at the video game. Like there's this dude, Akola. He's a Japanese Steve player in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, and he like destroyed. Like he dropped, I want to say like 2 games during this last tournament. The first international tournament that he went to, he won, and like he literally his first ever major that he went to. And when I say his first ever major, it's not even just his first ever major. His first ever tournament that had like 400 people in it. And this again. This doesn't mean that he went to a tournament before that was like 40 people. No, his first ever tournament had 400 people in it, and he won. And then he won the next tournament. And then he got second place at the tournament after that. And then he won the tournament after that. He has only ever gotten first or second place within these tournaments that have hundreds of people, or for specifically this American
and tournament.
How old is he? He's like 14, 15. Children are cracked at games because that's all, you know, they have so much time, you know?
Yep. And also your brain, I guess, is
exactly.
like more malleable or something.
Elasticity and crap. Like, he's so freaking cracked at the game. But also he plays a cringe character. But I mean, that really has nothing to do with it. Because like like no other Steve has results that he has. Like every other Steve is like, they can like clip a top player, because top players are usually worth up, like used to playing Smash, you know, like so they're used to playing the game a very specific kind of way. But Steve plays a whole nother game. So like top players that have like these like habits built in and like this knowledge that they play the game with, they're thrown off because Steve plays by a different game. You got to play it differently.
Yeah.
So like usually Steve players don't do that well because people that are also new to the game but don't play Steve are better at learning how to fight Steve because they don't already have it burnt in their brain how to play the game. But top players who have been playing the game this specific way for years are thrown off because like, crap, like this person's not dying to the thing that people usually die to, and then they lose.
It's like if you were playing PUBG and suddenly Fortnite building comes in, you're like, wait a minute.
Exactly. You're like, what the
it's a whole thing,
dude?
Yeah.
Freaking college, he's cracked. I don't know. I even brought that up. But
we were talking about sweaty, and then that's how we got there because of sports. You know?
Oh, children. About children being toxic. The children are usually ones that are the most cracked in the game too, because freaking, you know, they're malleable.
That's right. To answer the original question, I played some sports here and there. I never very well, never for very long, but I did. So like, let's see, order of operations. I played baseball when I was like 6. The Geneva Baseball League in Geneva, Switzerland. So that was that. And then like played a little bit of soccer, or maybe those were flipped. I don't remember. It doesn't matter. I remember playing one game in soccer where I'm sure I've told this story before at some random point, where an older team needed a sub, so I subbed in and I did terribly. I was their goalie, and
this man was boom boom.
I let 100%. I let 8 goals past me, but the other goalie let 13 goals past him. So we lost 0. It was really bad. In my mind, I still remember that game. And there was like, honestly, that's the only game I do remember. There was like 2 players on that team. That one was like really small and fast, and the other one was like really big. And it felt like a cartoon where it's, like a Lenny from Of Mice and Men, where it's just that's what it felt like, but good at sports. So yeah, that's what that was. Then like, I don't know, played some basketball in middle school, and then the main one that I was any good at was I ran track in like 9th grade, and we did pretty well. That was fun.
I also did that. Lastly, I did like, but not like, I didn't do that for my school, but I hung out with my brother a lot, and he ran cross country, so I would like run with him and his friends when they did that sometimes. But I didn't like compete in that, so that wasn't. I didn't bring that.
I never competed in long. Like I only did like high jump and like the relays and sprints and stuff. I wasn't like great at it, but
cross country is freaking terrible, dude. I don't know why he wanted to do that. It's so much. It's so long, dude.
And I forgot about this, but skiing when I was a kid, because we lived in France, like just on the side of a mountain. So our PE would go skiing every Monday during the winters, which was great. And, now I haven't been skiing since I was 10, but like, it's funny to think that before the age of 10,
my high school did that.
I went skiing
I
like
used to
all the
snowboard,
time.
like near my house, because freaking Harrisburg, Pennsylvania got mad hills and stuff.
Nice.
Also New Jersey. So I used to do that, but again, that was just something I did. It wasn't like a sport that I played in school or whatever, so I don't know if that qualifies. But I also did that too.
Sure. Why not?
But I freaking my friend gave me a snowboard, and one of the bindings on it was broken. So it's like I freaking snowboarded down this hill, and then I got clipped on a rock, and it like flipped the board from under me. Like, not flipped, that's a bad description. It like pivoted or like around and like twisted my foot. That was terrible. That sucked.
That sucks a lot.
Yeah. That was like when I probably snowboarded since then, but that's when I like stopped doing it as much, because I was like, I don't want to freaking buy another snowboard, and I don't know where to even start to get it fixed. So like, I guess I'm just using this one or not doing it at all,
Yeah.
But yeah, that was another thing.
Man. Good old snowboarding. Last one, just for everybody to get to enjoy this. I wrestled very briefly, and I hated it so much. It was so bad. It was my friends were on the wrestling. My friends were the wrestling team, basically. Like they started it at our school and then just like joined some other league.
Gotcha.
Again, this is in Belgium, so like there just wasn't a wrestling league
Lawless
besides like a
lands.
bunch of like military schools or whatever that were stationed around there. So somehow we did that. I went to like one meet, I think, and I lost really bad. And then I just asked my mom after, like, came back for the first practice after Christmas break and just was miserable and hated it so much. And I got in the car afterwards. I was like, Mom, I really want to quit wrestling. And she was like, well, normally we don't really, it's important to see things through to the end. But this kind of sucks. So yeah, go for it. I was like, sweet, cool. So I quit and it was great.
W.
That's it. That's my sports. And also, yeah, best halftime snack during games. Could not tell you.
Chips and queso.
Yeah. Chips and queso is great. Ooh, I haven't done this in a while, but if you get some just like plain nachos and just like put some sprinkly cheese, like, I don't know, Colby Jack shredded cheese or something like that, stick it in the microwave for like 30 seconds and it melted just a little bit, and then dip that in salsa. That's like really fast and easy and good. And I haven't done it in a very long time, so might do that. I haven't had dinner yet, so
It's true. Nachos are also good. Nachos are good.
Nachos are great.
That's true.
Good stuff. Last question, RP1998 for N64 Pokemon Snap. Do you think Nintendo should make a classic edition of the blockbuster Snap Machine or end up using the Labo gimmick again? I don't know if that's an either or just like a...
It kind of like, it sucks that at what time new Pokemon Snap was a thing, because I feel like if it wasn't like a COVID era video game, they would have we would have been able to do cool stuff with that. Like, I was telling people that I could see them like printing the pictures and doing that sort of stuff, but it would be like for influencers and stuff. Like, we would have been able to like go to PAX and get our stuff printed and whatnot, but unfortunately,
and like it still feels like if it had timed out differently, just mentioning the Labo gimmick and stuff, if it had timed out differently for Labo VR,
also
and
like
Pokemon Snap to work out together, that would have been dope. I think you made a video about that.
I did.
Was that before Pokemon Snap was announced? Or after
significantly before. I made a video about games that I want them to make better with Labo. When they sent me Labo, because like that's usually what I would do. Like, I would either like review it or I would like make a video that's like, this would be a cool way to enhance this game, and that's what I did for Labo when they sent the VR kit.
Nice.
And new Pokemon Snap was one of them. Or not new Pokemon Snap, but a new Pokemon Snap was one of them.
Yep. I tangent from that a little bit, was listening to, I don't know, a couple weeks ago or months ago or something like that, the Kit and Krista podcast, and Krista was talking about how when she took over the ambassador program or whatever, they had to like make some sweeping changes and people weren't thrilled about it. Some people still will like whatever. And some people, send out emails or whatever, but like they just had to, rein it in and have just a few people that they really knew instead of having all sorts of people in the program. And it was this great decision because blah, 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 and all that stuff. And I was like, Krista's the reason AJ's not a Nintendo ambassadder in the same kind of way anymore.
Krista's the reason why like Wood is not.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. Yeah, 100%. But that's, apparently. I mean, which, I could see that now because like the way that they do stuff with like Rogers Base and Misclick and stuff, right. It's like they're like doing stuff with them, wholesale. And like, that's just not the case with barely anybody, it seems like, anymore, It's
true.
And like it seems like other people are still kind of in the same, I don't know, wheelhouse, but yeah, maybe not. Also, I think we misunderstood Mega Man's Mark was like, those seem like way too heavy for halftime. That's definitely coming back up in the second half. And I was like, I was definitely thinking about watching sports, not playing sports, because that's so far out of my brain.
I thought I didn't like. Freaking, I don't know. I thought he was talking about watching for sure. Like, I don't know, man.
Do you eat snacks during halftime? I don't have a concept of halftime in terms of playing sports.
I wasn't like eating during the sport. No. Like that was drink after the fact. Yeah, like drink water, Gatorade, and then play the game, and then leave, and then get pizza or whatever.
Yeah. I could eat some pizza. And with that, that's the end. Oh, the question for if you want to answer something in the YouTube comment section. Is the weekend the last 2 days of the week, or is it weekends like bookends and it's the first and the last day of the week and it's like, the ends of the week?
That's a fact.
I won't tell you the answer, but there is a right answer. And AJ and I are both in agreement, if that kind of helps give it away at all. And one of them is silly, and my friend Mitch is dumb.
That's a fact.
I love him, but he's
and I texted him something to that effect. Like, comment, subscribe. Goodbye.